The Wealth Creation Switch. Activate your abundance frequency today. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. Imagine waking up tomorrow knowing, without a shadow of doubt, that you hold the keys to unlimited abundance. Not someday. Not when conditions are perfect. Today. What would change if you truly believed wealth wasn't a distant dream but a natural state you could switch on, like flipping a light? This book, The Wealth Creation Switch, Activate Your Abundance Frequency Today, is your guide to discovering that switch within you. Together, we're going to explore the invisible patterns shaping your financial reality, the habits, beliefs, and subconscious rules that quietly dictate whether you attract opportunities or unknowingly push them away. As Tony Robbins once said, "It's not the lack of resources that stops you, it's the lack of resourcefulness." Wealth creation isn't about chasing luck or waiting for a break. It's about learning how to tune your mind into the frequency where abundance flows naturally. Here, we're not talking spreadsheets and stock tips. We're talking mental rewiring, energetic alignment, and practical strategies to unlock what's already within you. You'll learn how to spot the internal blocks that keep you stuck, master the psychology of prosperity, and create a mindset so resilient that financial growth becomes inevitable. Your future wealth isn't hidden in some secret formula. It's already encoded in your choices, your focus, and your beliefs. By the end of this book, you'll know exactly how to activate it. Ready to flip the switch? Chapter 1: Unlocking the Hidden Wealth Frequency. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly while others struggle no matter how hard they work? It's tempting to think it's all about luck, timing, or being born into the right circumstances. But the truth is more surprising, and far more empowering. The difference isn't out there. It's in here. Wealth begins in the mind long before it shows up in your bank account. Right now, whether you realize it or not, you are broadcasting a financial frequency. It's made up of your beliefs, your emotional patterns, and the decisions you make without even thinking about them. When that frequency aligns with abundance, opportunities seem to find you. When it doesn't, even the best chances can slip right through your hands. Most people don't fail because they lack ability or intelligence. They fail because they haven't learned to shift their internal settings to match the wealth they want to create. The good news is you can change that. You can learn to tune yourself into prosperity. But first, you need to understand why your current patterns exist. Maybe you grew up hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "Rich people are greedy." Those words may have seemed harmless back then, but they quietly built a framework in your subconscious. That framework influences every financial decision you make today. It decides whether you ask for the raise, start the business, or walk away from an opportunity that could change your life. Think about the last time you faced a big financial choice. Did you hesitate? Did you feel an invisible pull toward playing it safe, even when a part of you wanted more? That hesitation isn't weakness, it's programming. And just like any program, it can be rewritten. To do that, you first have to become aware of it. Most people operate on autopilot when it comes to money. They repeat the same spending habits, chase the same goals, and feel the same anxieties year after year without realizing they're running the same mental script. Awareness breaks that cycle. Once you can see the patterns, you can start choosing new ones. This is where the shift begins, the moment you decide wealth isn't something to chase but something to tune into. When you learn to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with abundance, you stop fighting against yourself. You stop sabotaging opportunities without realizing it. You start noticing doors that were always there, you just weren't looking for them before. But let's be clear, this isn't about wishful thinking or blind optimism. You can't just repeat, "I'm wealthy," in the mirror and expect magic. True transformation happens when your beliefs and your actions finally agree. That's when momentum builds. That's when the switch flips. Every chapter in this book is designed to guide you through that transformation step by step. Together, we'll uncover the hidden triggers shaping your financial reality, learn practical tools to shift your mindset, and build habits that naturally create growth over time. This isn't about quick fixes or overnight success. it's about creating a sustainable inner foundation for lasting wealth. You've carried certain financial beliefs for years, maybe decades. Some have served you. Many haven't. Now you're here because you're ready for something different. This is your moment to take control of the frequency you've been unconsciously broadcasting and choose a new one that pulls abundance toward you instead of pushing it away. Your wealth journey doesn't start when you make your first million. It starts right here, with a decision to change how you think, feel, and act around money. Flip the switch, and everything begins to shift. Chapter 2: Reprogramming the Money Blueprint. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your financial life as a house. Every decision, every habit, every belief you've ever held about money is part of its foundation. Some parts are strong and stable. Others are cracked, uneven, or quietly rotting beneath the surface. If you've ever felt stuck in the same financial patterns no matter how hard you work, it's because the blueprint guiding your choices was designed years ago, and probably not by you. From the moment we're old enough to understand words, we start absorbing money scripts. Maybe you grew up hearing things like, "Money is hard to earn," or "We can't afford that," or "Rich people are selfish." At the time, you didn't question it, you simply accepted it. Those beliefs burrowed deep into your subconscious and became the silent rules you live by today. They dictate how much wealth you believe you deserve, how much risk you're willing to take, and how confidently you pursue opportunities when they arise. Here's the catch: most people never revisit those scripts. They carry them into adulthood like invisible chains, making choices that reinforce the same limitations they learned decades ago. The result? A constant tug-of-war between what you want and what you believe you're allowed to have. Until you become conscious of those patterns, your financial life will feel like driving with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. But here's the truth most people miss: your blueprint isn't permanent. It can be rewritten. It can be upgraded. And the first step is awareness. Pay attention to how you think and talk about money. Do you tense up when someone mentions wealth? Do you quietly resent people who have more than you? Do you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford it," before you've even considered other possibilities? These automatic reactions are breadcrumbs leading you back to your current programming. Once you see the patterns, you can start creating new ones. That begins with reframing. For example, instead of saying, "I can't afford this," shift to, "How can I afford this?" It sounds simple, but the difference is powerful. One shuts down possibilities, the other opens doors. The words you choose shape the thoughts you think, and those thoughts shape your actions. Change the dialogue, and you begin changing your life. Of course, awareness alone isn't enough. You must also take aligned action. Reprogramming your blueprint requires proving to yourself, over and over again, that a different reality is possible. That could mean starting a side project, asking for the promotion you've hesitated on, or finally creating a plan to get out of debt. Every small, intentional action becomes a vote for the wealth identity you're building. Along the way, you'll face resistance, not from the world, but from yourself. Your old programming will whisper that it's safer to stay where you are. That voice isn't the truth, it's the echo of someone else's beliefs. You get to decide whether it keeps running your life or whether you write a new story. The switch you're looking for isn't out there. It's within you. And when you reprogram the blueprint, everything changes: your decisions, your habits, and eventually your results. You stop surviving and start creating. You stop chasing wealth and start attracting it. This is the turning point. From here on, you're no longer bound by the rules you inherited. You're the architect now. And the new blueprint you design will lead you straight toward the abundance you've been seeking. Chapter 3: Aligning with the Abundance Frequency. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to flow effortlessly from one opportunity to another, while others struggle just to keep their heads above water? It's not just strategy, hard work, or luck that sets them apart. It's alignment. Before wealth shows up in your reality, it has to exist in your energy, your emotions, and your thoughts. The truth is simple but often overlooked: you don't create abundance by chasing it, you create it by aligning yourself with it. Right now, your inner world is broadcasting a signal. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you hold on to, Every belief you carry sends out a frequency that shapes how you experience life. If your dominant thoughts are scarcity-based, "I'll never get ahead, there's never enough, people like me can't succeed," your actions will unconsciously match those beliefs. You'll hesitate when you should move, undercharge when you should demand more, and reject opportunities you don't believe you deserve. The key is to shift from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking, and that begins with awareness. Start noticing the emotional tone behind your choices. Are you making decisions from fear or from possibility? Do you approach opportunities expecting them to work out or assuming they won't? That difference matters more than you think. Energy moves where focus flows, and the reality you live reflects the thoughts you nurture most. But alignment isn't just about thinking differently, it's about feeling differently, too. You can't tell yourself you're abundant while secretly holding on to resentment, fear, or guilt about money. Emotions are powerful amplifiers. When your feelings contradict your intentions, the emotions win every time. That's why simply repeating affirmations rarely works. To truly activate your abundance frequency, your thoughts, emotions, and actions have to point in the same direction. One of the fastest ways to create this alignment is gratitude. It's more than a cliché, gratitude is a frequency all its own. When you focus on what you already have instead of obsessing over what's missing, you shift into a state where abundance can flow more easily. Every day, find at least 3 things to appreciate, no matter how small. That shift in focus rewires your mind to look for possibilities rather than limitations. Of course, alignment isn't passive. It's not about sitting back and hoping things magically fall into place. You still need to act, but your actions must match the energy you want to embody. If you want financial growth, act like someone who expects growth. That doesn't mean reckless spending or pretending to be wealthy. It means taking steps from a place of confidence and intention rather than fear and desperation. You'll know you're in alignment when decisions feel clear, opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere, and your actions flow without forcing them. That's the sweet spot where momentum builds naturally. Until then, be patient with yourself. Realignment isn't a one-time event, it's a practice. Every choice you make either strengthens your old patterns or creates new ones. Over time, those small, consistent shifts create massive change. Wealth doesn't arrive by accident. It responds to the energy you project, the emotions you cultivate, and the beliefs you commit to. The more you align those 3, the more magnetic you become to the opportunities you once thought were out of reach. You don't have to chase abundance. When you shift your frequency, it starts chasing you. Chapter 4: Breaking the Cycle of Financial Self-Sabotage. Have you ever set a financial goal, felt inspired at the start, and then watched yourself slowly drift away from it without meaning to? Maybe you decided to save more but ended up spending impulsively. Maybe you planned to start a side business but found every reason to delay it. If this sounds familiar, you're not broken, lazy, or unmotivated, you're caught in a cycle of financial self-sabotage. And until you break it, no amount of tips or tactics will create lasting change. Self-sabotage isn't always obvious. It hides in the quiet choices you make without thinking, the "I'll do it later" moments, the justifications for small purchases that add up, the way you avoid looking at your bank statements because you already expect disappointment. These actions might seem unrelated, but they're driven by the same invisible force, your subconscious money patterns. Here's the thing, your subconscious is designed to keep you safe, not successful. If wealth feels unfamiliar or unsafe based on your past experiences, your mind will find subtle ways to keep you right where you are. It will steer you back toward comfort, even when comfort is the very thing holding you back. This is why you can know what to do and still not do it. Knowledge alone doesn't change behavior, identity does. The key to breaking self-sabotage is understanding the role identity plays in your financial life. If deep down you see yourself as someone who struggles, every choice you make will unconsciously reinforce that belief. But when you start seeing yourself as someone capable of creating and managing wealth, your actions naturally begin to align with that identity. You stop sabotaging opportunities because they finally feel congruent with who you believe you are. One of the most effective ways to shift identity is through small, consistent wins. Start by keeping the promises you make to yourself, no matter how small they seem. If you decide to set aside $10 a week, honor that commitment like your future depends on it, because it does. Each small follow-through sends a signal to your subconscious. I can trust myself. I create results. Over time, these micro-wins rewire the way you see yourself and disrupt the cycle of self-sabotage. Another critical piece is awareness. Pay attention to your habits without judgment. Do you tend to overspend when you're stressed? Do you procrastinate on financial decisions because you fear making the wrong choice? These patterns aren't flaws, they're clues. They reveal where your beliefs about money are out of alignment with your goals. The more clearly you see them, the easier it becomes to choose differently. Breaking free also means challenging the stories you've carried for years. Maybe you were taught that wanting wealth is selfish, or that failure is dangerous, or that security only comes from working harder. Those stories were written by someone else, often long before you were old enough to question them. Now you get to decide whether they still serve you. This isn't about perfection. You won't erase every old pattern overnight, and you don't have to. The goal is progress, not pressure. Every time you catch yourself about to sabotage and choose differently, you reclaim power over your financial destiny. Wealth isn't just about earning more. It's about becoming someone who no longer undermines their own success. When you break the cycle of self-sabotage, you stop standing in your own way, and the path to abundance becomes clear. Chapter 5: Building Wealth Habits That Stick. If you've ever wondered why two people can earn the same income but end up with completely different financial realities, the answer almost always comes down to habits. Wealth is rarely the result of one massive decision or a single lucky break. It's the outcome of small, consistent actions repeated over time. These daily choices, the ones you make almost without thinking, quietly shape your future. The challenge is that most of us inherited habits designed for survival, not abundance, and we've been repeating them for years without realizing it. Think about your current financial routines. Do you automatically check your bank balance at the start of the week, or do you avoid it until absolutely necessary? Do you review where your money goes, or do you hope things work themselves out? Habits like these seem small, but over time they compound in powerful ways. They determine whether money flows into your life and stays there or slips through your fingers without you noticing. The first step in creating wealth habits is to make the unconscious conscious. You can't change what you don't see. Spend a week observing your current behaviors without judgment. Track where your money goes, how often you make impulse purchases, and even how you emotionally react to spending or saving. These observations reveal your default patterns, and awareness is the foundation for transformation. Once you identify the habits keeping you stuck, start replacing them with intentional ones. The key isn't to overhaul your life overnight, it's to focus on small, sustainable changes that build momentum. For example, setting aside a fixed percentage of your income before spending anything else sends a powerful message to your subconscious. I prioritize growth. It doesn't have to be a large amount at first. Consistency matters far more than size. Another powerful wealth habit is automating decisions wherever possible. Every time you leave a financial choice up to willpower, you're relying on limited energy that can get depleted by stress, temptation, or fatigue. Automating savings, investments, and bill payments removes friction and ensures your actions match your intentions even when your motivation dips. Over time, automation helps your desired behaviors become effortless. Equally important is cultivating habits that strengthen your financial awareness. Set aside a few minutes each week to review your numbers, not with dread, but with curiosity. Where is your money working for you, and where is it being wasted? This isn't about guilt or punishment, it's about clarity. When you shine light on your finances consistently, you gain control over them instead of feeling controlled by them. As you build these habits, you'll notice resistance. Part of you may want to slip back into old patterns because they're familiar and comfortable. That's normal. Change doesn't happen by removing discomfort. It happens by choosing growth despite it. Every time you honor a positive habit, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Over time, those votes accumulate into a new identity, one that naturally attracts and maintains wealth. The magic of habits lies in their compounding power. A single decision to save a small amount, to review your finances weekly, or to invest in your education may not seem significant in the moment, but multiplied over months and years, it becomes transformative. Wealth creation isn't about doing extraordinary things once, it's about doing simple things consistently. Your financial future isn't determined by where you start, it's determined by what you repeatedly choose to do. Align your habits with the abundant life you want, and eventually, that life becomes inevitable. Chapter 6: Mastering Emotional Resilience Around Money. No one talks about it enough, but money is emotional. It's never just numbers on a screen or pieces of paper in your wallet. It carries meaning, memories, and beliefs you've been building for your entire life. Every decision you make about earning, saving, or spending is filtered through an emotional lens. That's why financial progress isn't only about strategies and systems. It's about learning to regulate your emotions when money is involved. Without emotional resilience, even the best plan will fall apart the moment fear, stress, or doubt show up. Think back to the last time you faced a financial setback or unexpected expense. Did you panic? Did you freeze, overthink, or avoid taking action entirely? If so, you're not alone. Most people's financial decisions are driven by automatic emotional responses rather than rational planning. But here's the problem: when emotions take the wheel, long-term goals often get sacrificed for short-term relief. Emotional resilience is the skill that changes that. Resilience isn't about suppressing feelings or pretending you don't care about money. It's about understanding what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and creating enough space between the emotion and your reaction to choose wisely. When a financial challenge arises, you want to be able to pause, breathe, and respond intentionally instead of spiraling into panic or avoidance. This pause is where power lives. Start by observing your emotional triggers around money. Maybe you feel anxious checking your bank account, defensive when talking about finances, or guilty after spending on yourself. These reactions don't make you flawed, they make you human. They also reveal where old beliefs are still shaping your behavior. Each trigger is an opportunity to rewrite your response. Instead of resisting the discomfort, lean into it with curiosity. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it actually true, or is it just familiar? Another essential part of building resilience is separating your self-worth from your net worth. Too often, people tie their identity to their financial status. When money flows easily, they feel valuable and secure. When setbacks happen, they feel inadequate or ashamed. But your value as a person is not determined by a number in your account. When you truly internalize that distinction, you'll approach financial challenges from a place of grounded strength rather than fear. Breathwork and mindfulness can help you anchor this mindset. When stress hits, your body reacts instinctively, your heart races, your breathing shortens, and your judgment clouds. A simple practice of slowing down and taking deliberate breaths signals safety to your nervous system, bringing you back into balance. From this calmer state, you can make choices aligned with your long-term goals rather than reacting impulsively. Building resilience also means reframing financial setbacks. Instead of seeing challenges as proof that you're failing, view them as feedback and opportunities to grow. Every unexpected bill, lost investment, or rejected proposal teaches you something valuable about your habits, patterns, and beliefs. Growth often hides in these uncomfortable moments, if you're willing to see it. The reality is, financial life will always include ups and downs. You can't control every outcome, but you can control how you show up in the face of uncertainty. When you develop emotional resilience, you become unshakable. You stop letting fear dictate your choices. You move with clarity, confidence, and intention, even when circumstances seem overwhelming. Wealth isn't built by avoiding problems, it's built by facing them with a steady mind and an open heart. Emotional resilience gives you that strength. It turns chaos into clarity and setbacks into stepping stones. When you master your emotions around money, you unlock the freedom to create lasting abundance on your terms. Chapter 7: Expanding Your Wealth Identity. Every financial breakthrough begins with a shift in identity. You can set bigger goals, read every book on investing, or follow the latest strategies, but if your internal self-image doesn't align with the wealth you're trying to create, you'll keep finding ways to sabotage your own progress. You'll hesitate when opportunities arrive, undercharge for your value, or unconsciously reject abundance because it doesn't feel like you. Until you expand who you believe yourself to be, your results will never surpass the limits of your current identity. Think about the version of yourself who already lives in the reality you want. How does that person think about money? How do they speak, act, and make decisions? Chances are, they don't see wealth as something scarce or unattainable. They expect opportunities, they trust themselves to handle them, and they move with confidence. That's not luck, it's alignment. When your identity matches the level of abundance you desire, your choices naturally reflect that standard. The problem is, most people never consciously update their wealth identity. They keep operating with the internal blueprint they built years ago, shaped by childhood messages, past mistakes, or limited environments. If you grew up hearing money is hard to come by or people like us can't get ahead, those beliefs don't just disappear as an adult, they follow you quietly, influencing every financial decision you make. And because identity drives behavior, you end up creating the very outcomes you fear, reinforcing the same old story over and over again. But here's the empowering truth: your identity is not fixed. It can evolve as you evolve. You are not bound to the beliefs you inherited unless you choose to keep them. Expanding your wealth identity starts with awareness, noticing the subtle ways you limit yourself without realizing it. Do you instinctively assume certain opportunities are out of reach? Do you hesitate to invest in yourself because deep down you doubt the return will be worth it? These automatic responses reveal where your identity has been capped. Once you recognize these limits, the next step is to challenge them through intentional action. Identity doesn't shift by wishing for it. It shifts when you consistently behave like the person you want to become. That could mean negotiating for a raise even when it feels uncomfortable, setting higher prices in your business, or finally starting the investment account you've been putting off. Each bold step becomes evidence for a new story. I am someone who creates wealth. I am someone who manages money confidently. I am someone who grows. Visualization can amplify this process. Take time each day to mentally step into the version of yourself who has already achieved financial freedom. See what they see, feel what they feel, and notice how they carry themselves differently. When your mind rehearses this identity often enough, it stops feeling foreign and starts becoming familiar. Familiarity breeds acceptance, and acceptance transforms possibilities into realities. The more your identity expands, the more aligned opportunities you'll attract, and the more ready you'll be to act on them. It's not magic, it's psychology. When you stop questioning whether you're worthy of abundance, you naturally make choices that support it. Wealth doesn't happen outside of you first. It starts within. When you decide to become the kind of person who creates, receives, and sustains abundance, your external reality eventually reflects that choice. Upgrade the way you see yourself, and you upgrade what becomes possible. Chapter 8: Releasing Scarcity Conditioning. Scarcity isn't just about having less money. It's a mindset, a deeply ingrained lens through which you view the world, and it shapes every financial decision you make, often without you realizing it. If you've ever caught yourself saying, "I can't afford that, there's never enough," or "I have to play it safe," then scarcity conditioning may still be running your life. You're not alone. Most of us were raised in environments where scarcity thinking was the norm, passed down like an heirloom through generations. But while scarcity may have shaped your past, it doesn't have to define your future. The scarcity mindset trains your brain to focus on what's missing instead of what's possible. It convinces you that resources are limited, that opportunities are rare, and that there's always someone else taking more than their share. Over time, this belief system creates invisible walls between you and your potential. Even when new possibilities appear, you may dismiss them out of fear or assume they're too risky to pursue. In the end, scarcity quietly robs you twice, once by keeping opportunities out of reach and again by convincing you they were never meant for you in the first place. Breaking free from this conditioning starts with awareness. Begin by noticing the language you use when you think or talk about money. Do you automatically frame decisions in terms of lack and limitation? Do you assume you must sacrifice one thing to have another? These subtle patterns reveal how deeply scarcity has wired itself into your beliefs. Simply observing these thoughts without judgment weakens their power and creates space for something new. Shifting away from scarcity isn't about reckless spending or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about adopting a different perspective, one rooted in possibility and expansion. Instead of asking, "What if there isn't enough?" begin asking, "How can I create more?" This simple shift moves you from fear into curiosity and opens the door to solutions you couldn't see before. Gratitude is another powerful antidote to scarcity. When you train your mind to focus on what's already abundant in your life, no matter how small, you rewire your brain to notice opportunities instead of obstacles. Start each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Over time, this practice creates a mental environment where growth feels natural rather than forced. Scarcity conditioning also thrives on comparison. It whispers that there's not enough for everyone, so if someone else is winning, you must be losing. But the truth is, abundance isn't a zero-sum game. Other people's success doesn't take away from yours. It expands what's possible for you. When you stop competing for limited resources and start collaborating with possibility, you begin to see wealth creation differently, not as a fight for scraps, but as an ever-expanding field you can tap into. Of course, rewiring decades of scarcity conditioning won't happen overnight. You'll encounter resistance, moments where old fears resurface and tempt you to retreat into familiar patterns. That's normal. Progress comes from choosing differently even when the old mindset feels safer. Each time you make a decision rooted in possibility rather than limitation, you strengthen the neural pathways that support abundance. Your reality mirrors your beliefs. If you believe there's never enough, you'll act in ways that confirm it. But when you shift into a mindset of expansion, you begin seeing solutions where you once saw walls. Abundance isn't about ignoring reality, it's about creating a new one. Scarcity may have written the first chapters of your story, but abundance gets to write the rest. The moment you stop living from fear and start choosing possibility, the world opens up in ways you couldn't have imagined. That's when wealth stops being something you chase and starts becoming who you are. Chapter 9: Creating Unstoppable Financial Confidence. Confidence with money isn't about knowing every investment strategy or predicting every outcome perfectly. It's about trusting yourself to make decisions, take action, and adapt no matter what happens. Without confidence, even the best opportunities can feel terrifying. With it, you stop second-guessing every move and start building momentum toward the life you want. The truth is, financial confidence doesn't come from waiting until you know enough, it comes from learning to act even when you don't. Think about the last financial decision that made you hesitate. Maybe it was asking for a raise, starting a business, or investing in something new. Chances are, the uncertainty made you freeze or overthink every possibility. That hesitation isn't proof that you're incapable, it's evidence that you've been trained to fear making mistakes. But the irony is that confidence doesn't grow from avoiding decisions, it grows from making them, learning from them, and proving to yourself that you can handle whatever comes next. At its core, financial confidence is built on trust in your ability to figure things out, no matter what. You don't need perfect knowledge to start. You need the willingness to take small, intentional steps forward and learn along the way. Each decision you make becomes feedback, not failure. Every time you navigate an outcome, good or bad, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of managing your financial life. One way to accelerate this process is by focusing on progress over perfection. Waiting until you have every answer delays growth indefinitely. Instead, start where you are, with what you know, and commit to continuous improvement. Read one book on personal finance. Have one conversation about investing. Save 1% more than you did last month. Small actions compound into confidence because they create a track record of success you can point back to when doubt creeps in. Equally important is managing the voice of fear. Everyone has it, the part of you that whispers, "What if this doesn't work?" Or "What if you lose everything?" That voice exists to keep you safe, but if you let it control your choices, it will also keep you stuck. Confidence doesn't mean silencing fear, it means acting despite it. When you recognize fear as a natural response rather than a signal to stop, you take away its power to paralyze you. Financial confidence also grows when you redefine your relationship with mistakes. Most people avoid action because they're terrified of getting it wrong. But the truth is, mistakes are inevitable. They're also invaluable. Every misstep teaches you something you couldn't have learned by standing still. The sooner you embrace mistakes as part of the process, the faster you'll build resilience and trust in your ability to recover. Another overlooked aspect of confidence is clarity. Uncertainty breeds anxiety, and anxiety fuels inaction. When you know exactly where you stand, what's coming in, what's going out, and what your goals are, your decisions become simpler and less overwhelming. Set aside time regularly to review your finances and track your progress. Knowledge creates clarity, and clarity fuels decisive action. The more you act, the more capable you feel, and the more opportunities you create. This positive feedback loop is where confidence becomes unstoppable. You no longer wait for permission or perfect timing. You stop seeking guarantees and start trusting your ability to handle the unknown. Confidence isn't something you wait to feel before moving forward, it's something you build by moving forward. With each decision, you strengthen the belief that you are capable of creating and sustaining abundance. And once you trust yourself fully, wealth stops feeling like a distant goal and starts becoming your natural state. Chapter 10: Harnessing the Power of Financial Momentum. Wealth creation rarely happens in giant, dramatic leaps. More often, it's the result of small, consistent actions that build on one another until they create unstoppable momentum. Think of a train starting on the tracks. At first, it moves slowly, burning enormous energy just to crawl forward. But once it gathers speed, momentum takes over, and suddenly it glides effortlessly with less effort than before. The same principle applies to your financial life. The hardest part is getting started, but once you do, every step forward creates energy that fuels the next one. Momentum begins with clarity. You have to know where you're going before you can build meaningful acceleration. Without a destination, your actions lose focus and energy dissipates. Set a clear intention for your financial future. Whether it's building a business, retiring early, paying off debt, or simply creating a life of freedom, knowing your why gives every decision more purpose. It transforms daily choices from random acts into aligned steps towards something bigger. But intention alone isn't enough. Momentum is built through action, no matter how small. Saving your first $10, investing your first $100, or paying off a single credit card may not seem like much, but these are the sparks that ignite long-term growth. Every time you follow through on a positive decision, you're not just improving your finances, you're proving to yourself that change is possible. And that belief fuels the next choice, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of progress. One of the greatest obstacles to momentum is inconsistency. We've all experienced moments of motivation where we start strong, only to slip back into old habits when life gets busy or challenges arise. The key isn't to push harder during those moments but to make your system stronger. Automate where you can, savings, investments, and bill payments, so the right actions happen even when your energy dips. By reducing reliance on willpower, you protect your progress and keep the wheels turning, no matter what. Another critical part of creating financial momentum is managing setbacks. Too many people lose steam because they interpret a single mistake as failure. Maybe you overspent 1 month, made a poor investment, or took on a risk that didn't pay off. None of these experiences have to derail you unless you allow them to. Momentum isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Every setback carries information that can strengthen your next decision if you're willing to learn from it. Keep moving forward, even when the pace feels slow, because the energy compounds whether you notice it or not. Momentum also thrives on celebration. Most people skip this step, but acknowledging your wins, no matter how small, sends a powerful signal to your brain that you're making progress. This reinforces motivation and makes it easier to keep going. Take time to notice each milestone, whether it's hitting a savings goal, landing a new client, or simply staying consistent for a full month. Progress feeds momentum, and momentum creates results faster than effort alone ever could. Over time, something remarkable happens. Actions that once felt difficult become second nature. Saving feels automatic. Investing feels normal. making empowered decisions becomes your default. The compounding effect of small, intentional choices turns financial growth from a struggle into a flow state where wealth creation accelerates almost effortlessly. The secret isn't to wait for the perfect moment to start. The secret is to start where you are and let momentum carry you forward. Once it builds, it has a force of its own, one that transforms hesitation into confidence, scattered efforts into strategy, and long-term dreams into daily reality. Chapter 11: Activating the Abundance Frequency. There comes a moment in every transformation where the pieces finally click. The habits, beliefs, and patterns you've been shifting begin to align, and you realize wealth isn't something outside of you waiting to be earned, it's a state you step into. Activating your abundance frequency isn't about luck or chance. It's about deliberately tuning every part of yourself, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, to operate in harmony with the life you want to create. Abundance begins with awareness, but it comes alive through alignment. You've spent years absorbing messages about money from your family, society, and your own experiences. Some of those beliefs have served you, many have limited you. The old stories whisper that you must struggle, sacrifice, or prove your worth before you can have more. But the truth is simpler: when you change your frequency, you change what flows toward you. Scarcity and fear repel opportunities. Confidence and clarity attract them. The first step to activating your abundance frequency is deciding, fully and without hesitation, that you are worthy of wealth. Not someday. Not after you hit a specific milestone. Now. Worthiness isn't something you earn, it's something you accept. When you stop negotiating with your own value, you stop blocking the opportunities that match it. This shift isn't just mental, it's energetic. People can sense when you move from hoping to knowing, and the world responds differently when you do. But intention without action isn't enough. Aligning with abundance requires behaving like the person who already lives the life you desire. That doesn't mean spending recklessly or pretending to be someone you're not. It means making decisions from faith rather than fear, from vision rather than limitation. When you choose investments because they align with your goals instead of clinging to safety out of habit, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. This is who I am now. Gratitude amplifies this process. Every time you recognize what's already working in your life, you reinforce the belief that abundance is present, here and now. That mindset magnetizes more of what you appreciate. The more you focus on lack, the more lack expands. The more you focus on plenty, the more opportunities appear. Gratitude shifts your attention from what's missing to what's possible, and that shift changes everything. Of course, activating abundance doesn't mean challenges disappear. Life will still present obstacles, but you'll meet them differently. Where you once saw walls, you'll see detours. Where you once hesitated, you'll take action with clarity. This is what happens when your inner world stops contradicting your desires, your actions, beliefs, and emotions finally speak the same language. Momentum will carry you from there. Every time you make an aligned choice, you strengthen the identity of someone who creates, sustains, and multiplies wealth. Over time, this becomes second nature. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You're no longer waiting for the perfect moment. You are the moment. By tuning into your abundance frequency, you've unlocked the ability to create opportunities instead of waiting for them. The power to attract wealth, to grow it, and to sustain it has always been within you. Now, it's activated. The switch has been there all along. Today, you've chosen to flip it. Take care and be well.